So you would never call me a in my face, right?
Well, why would I just randomly call you a
But what do you think about same-sex marriage?
It's a sin.
You think it's a sin. So you think
It
I'm
is a
sinful.
sin. What's that?
You think I'm sinful because I'm married to a man.
Yeah.
You do.
Yes, you're sinning. You are in a sinful relationship. I actually don't believe marriage can be between two men. So I don't.
Today, we're diving into a clip from Don Lemon's latest show. Now, I don't typically tune into his content, but this episode caught my eye because none other than Candace Owens was his guest. I ended up watching the entire thing, and let me tell you, Candace absolutely took him to school on his own show. I'll link the full episode in the description if you want to watch the entire debate. For now, though, we're going to zero in on their heated exchange about free speech and gay marriage. I have to say, one thing became crystal clear while watching this. You can take Don Lemon out of CNN, but you can't take the CNN mindset out of Don Lemon. With that said, let's get into it.
This is one thing that I've been wanting to ask you about, Candace, because it really bothered me. But I want the explanation in the context, as you say.
Do you have any clips of anything that like you agreed with, or we're just gonna like pretend this is a friendly interview as you can okay. Just wondering, is there even one clip of something that you agree with?
I don't know. Maybe I agree with the next clip. But anyway, roll the next clip, please.
Bring shame back. Bring back saying you are disgusting, you are wrong, you are a hoe, you are a pervert. Call things for what they are. And that is another way that they've psychologically tried to transform speech in America by saying like, oh, okay, you have free speech. But if you say that word, like if you say like, oh, that's whack or that's gay, then that would make you a homophobe. You don't want to be a homophobe, do you? It's no. We shouldn't do that. And it's even been the disappearance of words that actually had real meanings, like growing up, majoring in English, reading old English novels and understanding that a word like is a real word. It means a bundle of sticks.
Okay, so listen, I believe in free speech, right? But I also believe that free speech comes with consequences. So the word you said was right? Is that exactly the word? Mm-hmm. So what did you mean by that? You think it's okay to say the word, to call people to their face?
No, actually, I said words have meaning. And so when you start allowing the perverts to dictate speech, then words just have to go away. And as I said in that clip, when I was growing up and I was reading English novels, when people say you're walking through the woods to get it meant a bundle of sticks. And then they said you can no longer say this word that has a real meaning, right? A bundle of sticks, because some pervert took that and threw it as an epithet towards gay people. I think that's actually, that's a wrong way of thinking, because then what you're doing is you're allowing perverts to dictate society. So I don't like the death of the English language because people are getting offended. So that's like, I could pick any word. I could say, plant. And from now on, every time I see a gay guy, I'm going to be like, he's a total plant. And then eventually they say you can't say plant anymore. It's like, no, this is a real word that has meaning. Attack the person who's perverting the word, but you don't suddenly disappear a word and you say you can no longer say it, or you can no longer read these Virginia Woolf novels because the word has been perverted. I think that's a backwards way of thinking.
Read Virginia Woolf novels, and the only people I know who are trying to ban books, Virginia Woolf and other books that even say the N-word. I mean, it's conservatives. That's who's trying to do it. I don't think that you should be banning books. But I do know, Candace, that language evolves over time. And when people say that word to me, they're not calling me a cigarette. They're not calling me
obviously, that's the point. It has a context. So if you want to punish that person because they're saying that offensively, that, if you feel that this person, but it's not fair to then say to everybody else who's not using that word that this word has now been banned. I just think that's ridiculous. That's my point.
You think people should
I don't think you can suddenly say go backwards and delete words that had real meaning because someone has perverted it, because then it never stops. It just becomes constantly having to update the language for people's feelings. I don't think that we should be doing that.
So you would never call me a in my face, right?
Well, why would I just randomly call you a
I'm just meaning.
Have you ever seen the Louis
C.K.
skit on? Have you ever seen the Louis C.K. skit on?
No, I like Louis C.K., but I don't think I've ever seen a skit on.
You should watch it.
Yeah. No, but you would never call like a gay person that to their face.
That seems like an absurd. Like, why? No, of course, I'm not just going around. I'm a 35-year-old mother. I don't go around being like, "Hey, you're." It's just like I'm not 18 years old. Like I'm not going around calling people names. Period. I wouldn't go up to a fat person and call them names. I wouldn't call it just like it's an absurd thing to be going around pointing and calling people names because I don't like them. I would no. So the answer is no. I would not.
Do you use the N-word?
No, I don't.
In the next clip, Don Lemon and Candace Owens discuss gay marriage. Now, Don Lemon isn't someone I usually keep tabs on, so I didn't even know he was gay until I watched this episode. As I was watching from the beginning, I couldn't help but notice all the pastel colors in the background and that green microphone. I'm not saying that's a gay thing, but let's be real. It's not exactly what you'd expect in a typical male setup. Candace completely dominated him throughout the entire episode, especially in this segment where she pointed out the absurdity of trying to censor language. It's just a word after all. It's funny how we have certain words like the N-word that only one group can say, and everyone else is instantly vilified if they even utter it. I'm not interested in using that word, but it's wild to me that even if it's used in a factual context, like reading a book or telling a story, it's still off limits depending on your skin color. That's a bizarre rule in a language that's supposed to be universally shared. Candace is right when she says you can't just change language overnight. Sure, language evolves over time, but not at the snap of a finger. It's like the whole they-them pronoun debate. They has always been used as a plural term, and now, suddenly, it's supposed to refer to a single person. It's a major shift that people are just expected to accept without question. Don Lemon brought Candace on his show probably hoping to get a few gotcha moments or generate some clickbait, but she ended up schooling him the entire time. They covered topics ranging from January 6th to Christianity, and Candace held him more accountable than anyone else likely has in his life. Don Lemon, for me, has always been off-putting, and this episode was no different. He doesn't defend his own positions and just moves on to the next question whenever things get tough. If you have a differing opinion, you should at least be able to back it up with facts or evidence. His debate style is like a kid in elementary school. It's weak. I honestly wonder if he watched this episode back and realized how terrible he looked. Candace, on the other hand, stayed calm and composed throughout, smiling the whole time. The only moment where I think she gave him too much credit was when she said, "Don, you're smarter than this." Personally, I don't think he is. Now, let's jump into the part where they discuss homosexuality and gay marriage.
No. Okay. Here's something interesting that we may have some common ground on. Okay. But what do you think about same-sex marriage?
It's a sin.
You think it's a sin? So you think
It
I'm
is a
sinful?
sin. What's that?
You think I'm sinful because I'm married to a man?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, you're sinning. You are in a sinful relationship. I actually don't believe marriage can be between two men. So I don't.
But you understand, though, Candace, and maybe we're not going to agree on this now. I thought we would. Do you understand, though, that the same Bible verses and the same scriptures that are used to call same-sex marriage sinful are used to call interracial marriage sinful as well? And so there are people who would say that you are in a sinful marriage.
Can you tell me which verse it is that would make people say?
The thing is that it's actually not there, and that people twist the Bible verses. That's my whole point. Thank you for proving that, because it doesn't say that, and it's actually, you're going to say Leviticus or whatever. It's not actually what Leviticus says. But go on. I don't want to get into specifics about the Bible, but that's not what the Bible says. It's just people using and interpreting Scripture in a way that they want to interpret it. So, look. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't believe that I'm in a sinful marriage, but there are people who believe, Candace Owens, that you are in a sinful marriage because you are in an interracial marriage. And I say that as someone who is in an interracial marriage, so I am doubly sinful.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody make a biblical argument against people being married that are black and white. So that's why I said, can you just tell me what verse that was? Sodomy is obviously a sin, but I've never heard a biblical argument. I'm happy to learn. I'm happy to learn.
Sodomy is not just for gay sex, right? You know that, right? Sodomy is.
Yeah, it's a sin always, by the way.
Yeah, it's a sin between, it can be a sin between heterosexuals as well.
Yes, that's correct.
But you've never heard that interracial marriage was sinful?
I've never heard somebody make a biblical argument for interracial. I've never, and that's why I'm saying if you could present that to me, and if maybe you're familiar with what verse that was.
It's not a biblical argument. It's also a religious argument as well, more so than anything, that you're in a sinful marriage and that black and white people should not be married.
I mean, I'm obviously very aware that people could think that ideologically, but I've never heard that biblical argument made ever in my life. And I'm happy to be proven wrong here, but I think you made that up on the spot there.
So by saying that, no, I didn't actually, but by saying that you believe that I'm in a sinful marriage, does that mean though that I should be discriminated against?
No, I've never called for
So
discrimination.
you believe in the
People sin.
separation of church and state? then?
Heterosexual couples can sin as well. I mean, I hope that you deal with that. I want you to be Christian and to understand why it is that sodomy is a sin and what else it yields in society. I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't mean that you believe that I should be discriminated against. I
don't believe
I should be
any
able to have,
person-
under the Constitution, you believe that I have the same rights as you and other heterosexuals, and that my marriage is just as valid under the Constitution as anybody else's, including.
Well, I believe that the problem became that gets into a deeper theological discussion, but like the government should have never taken marriage away from the church. It should have been something that was maintained as a church practice. And so a lot of things happened there when the government took over and began marrying people, because then the arguments became, well, you get a tax break if you're married. And that is a way longer discussion that we can have on a different day. But to answer your question, I would never want any person based on their sins to ever be discriminated against, ever. I mean, I don't believe in discrimination. I don't believe that people should be treated differently. I think people should get help, and like we were just talking about with trans indoctrination, I believe that's a mental illness and people should seek help. But I don't believe that they should be discriminated against. I would never be okay with that. Okay. I mean, I have people that are, gay and lesbians in my life. I have cousins who are lesbians. So it's not, I don't have hatred in my heart.
You have Jewish friends? You have gay friends?
You're trying to be funny.
Do you have gay friends? I want to know.
Yes, I actually don't have. Like I really kind of feel like I only hang out with my family right now. So I'm a little, I've got 3 kids under 3, so I don't really have friends right now, but yeah, sure.
No, seriously, you don't have gay friends?
Well, I have gay people in my family. So that's the extent of my friendships with gay people.
Are you homophobic? No, I'm seriously.
You're such an absurd.
I thought you would say,
being.
Of course I have gay friends.
You're just such an absurd being. First off, the person that you're just an absurd human being. Are you homophobic? Oh my God. I was just like, what does homophobia actually mean? Can you give me a definition of homophobia? If I was homophobic, would I be doing like this show? Do you think I'm like scared? Like I'm like, oh my God, look, there's a gay man. I'm so scared. It's
no, not at all.
Have a phobia is like to have a phobia. A fear of, like, you think I fear like 2 gay men that are walking down the street holding hands, like, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't fear anything but God. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think God is to be feared, but anyways, I'm just surprised that you don't have any gay friends, because that, I just am. So listen, I actually enjoyed this conversation. I think people who disagree with each other should be able to talk and hash things out. So I hope
Did you enjoy it?
100% I enjoyed it. See, I think people think that conversations should be easy, that people should agree with everything. I have a different perspective on life. I have a different worldview than you. Many things you say I don't respect, but I respect you as a human being. And I think that the only way that we are going to make this grand experiment work is if at some point we try to at least have consensus on something. And sometimes the least of that consensus is being able to at least talk about it and go away saying, you know what, we agree to disagree. I
think that's fine. I believe in more speech, not less. So you will not make an enemy of me if you're talking about the right to conversation. I very much believe in it.
Candace Owens, thank you for appearing. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. It was great. Talk soon.
Bye.
Candace absolutely dominated Don Lemon on his own show. It's almost embarrassing how effortlessly she managed to do it. I can't help but wonder if Don has rewatched this episode and realized just how bad he came across. For an hour and a half, he was grilled and made to look foolish, while Candace remained calm, composed, and even threw in a few lighthearted jokes. He clearly hoped to catch her off guard with a gotcha moment, but she was completely unfazed. Towards the end of the episode, it became obvious that Dawn got flustered when Candace openly shared her strong Christian views, particularly on the topic of gay marriage, a stance many conservatives share. Personally, I don't believe gay couples should be allowed to adopt children. Let me clarify my position. When children are put up for adoption, there are already multiple vetted heterosexual couples for each child. Statistically, kids fare better in a home with both a mother and a father. The data supports this. So, I believe adoption should prioritize a man and woman household. Can gay people be good parents? Sure, I'm not saying they can't. But if you're in a relationship where procreation isn't an option, that's a personal choice, and adoption shouldn't automatically be on the table. It's not that I think gay couples lack the ability to parent, but there are already plenty of great qualified heterosexual couples eager to adopt. As for Candace, she doesn't harbor hatred toward gay people at all. Anyone familiar with her content knows she's a devout Christian who doesn't believe in gay marriage, but that doesn't mean she's anti-gay. Personally, I don't have any issues with the gay community. My concerns are more with the trans community, the new laws, pronouns, and how women are losing their spaces. But that's a separate discussion altogether. The people themselves? I don't have any ill will towards anyone. I even have gay friends, many of whom are more conservative than I am. Candace, on the other hand, is more outspoken about her faith. She believes marriage should be between a man and a woman, and especially not in a church setting. That's her opinion, but it doesn't translate to hatred. Unfortunately, we're living in a time where people are just way too sensitive. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and help it grow. I'll catch you all in the next one.